Been a while since we started the clock up, so I guess it's once again time to begin the countdown. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel today. My name is the Crimson Wolf and welcome back to the Chelsea countdown for our Premier League game taking on Aston Villa. And this is a game that actually has quite a bit riding on it. Obviously, should we win this game, and depending on results elsewhere in the league, we could be sat in second by the end of this game week. That would obviously require Liverpool to beat Manchester City and Arsenal not to beat West Ham by a substantial margin so that we retain a superior goal difference. Should that happen, we could be sat in second by the end of this game week. I think the highest we've been since the 21-22 season, which is absolutely spectacular if we can pull that off. Now, there are a couple other things riding on this game. Our record against Villa in the last couple of games has not been brilliant. In our last, I think, 4 games against them, 5 actually, sorry, we have managed 2 wins. The first was a win against Steven Gerrard's Aston Villa, the last game Steven Gerrard was in charge of Aston Villa for that matter, where pretty much the players were sick of him and trying to get him sacked. Tyrone Mings had an absolute howler and pretty much cost his team the game with that first goal. It was a double from Mason Mount, the second one being a free kick. The only other one we won was the FA Cup game last season when Enzo Fernandez obviously belted in that free kick in what, in my opinion, was our goal of the season last year. But other than that, it has not been too good whenever we've gone up against Villa. The second game of that season, when we had Graham Potter in charge, was his last game, and we lost 2-0 at home, which was overall just a really bad performance, I have to be honest. Obviously, last season we got beaten at the Bridge as well, 1-0 with Ollie Watkins scoring the goal. The other 2 times we played Villa last season, at home in the FA Cup, because obviously that was a draw, so it went to the second leg at Villa Park. And then the away game in the Premier League to Aston Villa, which finished 2-2, which, in my opinion, we were absolutely robbed by, because we really should have won that game. Axel Disasi scores a header in what has to be, I think, the 88th minute of the game, something like that, which should have won the game, but a minor shove in the back by Benoit Badiashile onto Diego Carlos somehow gets the goal ruled out. Don't understand how that happened, but that is all irrelevant for this. This is a new look Chelsea, and it is also a new Villa. Villa have obviously been competing in the Champions League for the first time in a long time, and it is so far taking its toll. They were in about 4th during the beginning of last international break, not the one previously gone, the one before that, and have since plummeted to 8th. Obviously a pretty substantial drop-off for a team in the Champions League. But they are doing quite well in Europe, to be fair to them, so that cannot be ignored. Obviously they were able to get a win against Bayern Munich for crying out loud, so they can't be that bad. Their form is a thing to be noted, and obviously they did play midweek versus Juventus, so that is obviously something to be taken into account here. This is also a big game for certain players who need to really prove themselves and make statements of their own, really. So with that being said, allow me to give you a quick overview of what to expect on the Chelsea countdown. Basically, I go through lineups, predictions, expectations, everything in between, and come to a conclusion of what I expect this game to look like. And we begin with that, with the lineup. And starting in goal, for the first time in the Premier League this season, I am predicting Philip Jorgensen to start in goal. Is this brave? Is it bold? Absolutely. Will it come true? Probably not. But honestly, after that game versus Heidenheim, he 100% should be starting this game. I read a stat online which was ridiculous, and I still cannot believe it's true. Philip Jorgensen made 11 saves versus Heidenheim. That is the most saves a Chelsea goalkeeper has made in any competition dating back to 2003. That is the entirety of Petr Cech's era, Thibaut Courtois' era, and peak Edouard Mendy's era. Philip Jorgensen has more saves in a single game than any of those goalkeepers. That is insane. If Maresca can somehow justify leaving Jorgensen on the bench for Sanchez after that performance, I will be starstruck. And if Sanchez goes out there and has an absolute howler, I don't care, he should be done. After Jorgensen's gone out and put in the performance of a lifetime versus Heidenheim, and if Sanchez goes out there and puts in a howler, he should be done. His career should genuinely be done at Chelsea if that happens. Jorgensen should have his spot after that. I think he should have it now, but if that happens, dead. His career should be done. But Jorgensen, I 100% believe, should be starting. And I think there is a real possibility he can. Maresca is not blind. He sees everything that we see, and he understands that Jorgensen just put in an unbelievable shift. That should be enough for him to warrant his first Premier League start. And hopefully the first leads to the second, the third, the fourth, and soon enough, Jorgensen is the one starting for us in every game. I really want that to be the case. I think he 100% deserves it. The quality of opposition he's had to face in the Conference League obviously isn't the same as in the Premier League that Sanchez having to be dealing with. But Sanchez's problem hasn't ever really been shot stopping. He's never been terrible at that. His decision making, and more specifically his on the ball decision making, has always been the problem. And Jorgensen has never had a problem with that. He always looks so much more confident on the ball than Sanchez does. So I think we could really benefit from that in this game, and that's why I want to see Jorgensen starting. Moving into the back line, and it is a return to the norm with the back line, with Benoit Badiashile playing the full 90 midweek versus Heidenheim and playing the full 90 versus Leicester. I'd be surprised if he returns to the lineup for this game. Malo Gusto is once again fit, so he comes back into right back with the ever-present Wesley Fofana, Levi Colwill at centre-back, and Marc Cucurella, of course, at left-back. And this setup has just been working exceptionally well all season. I think Gusto isn't performing to his top level. However, with the inclusion of another player in this team, I think his role will be slightly altered, and I think that will make him a lot better. And we really need to see that, because him playing as a right 10 is not working, because he can't finish. He is the worst player in the team at finishing. You can't have that from your number 10. So he 100% cannot be doing that role. And with the inclusion of another player I will get to in a minute, he shouldn't have to be doing that. And I really hope we don't see him doing it, because he's not good at it. Fofana and Colwill have obviously been doing really well all season. Fofana obviously had to do a shift at right back versus his old club at the weekend. So he did really well in that role. No real complaints overall. Colwill has obviously just been doing brilliantly all season, really. No real complaints from him. And Cucurella, obviously, in my opinion, has been the best left-back in the league, if not the continent, because he has just been putting in brilliant performances back-to-back for so long. And I think people need to start acknowledging how good he has been, because Cucurella is actually brilliant. Now, as I mentioned, there is a player whose inclusion I think will massively benefit Malo Gusto, and that player is Enzo Fernandez, alongside Moises Caicedo in the pivot, with Cole Palmer as the number 10. Now, it's kind of important to talk about Enzo Fernandez and Cole Palmer together, so I'm just going to quickly touch on Moises Caicedo. Long story short, Caicedo just needs to be himself in this game, his consistent self that he has been pretty much all season, which is covering as much ground as possible, putting in the tackles, winning the ball back, and progressing it up the pitch. That is what he's been doing all season, and it's what he's been exceptionally good at all season. So 100%, we just need to see more of the same from Caicedo. He has been, in my opinion, the best midfielder in the league this season, and I really hope we continue to see that in this game. Last time we played Aston Villa, or the last time these two played Aston Villa, they were both absolutely phenomenal, two best players in the pitch. And last time actually Caicedo played Aston Villa, he was the man of the match. So hopefully it is a return to that in this game. I would really like to see that. Now, as for Enzo and Cole Palmer, Enzo Fernandez's inclusion in this team is going to massively benefit Cole Palmer, because it allows us to bring Malo Gusto more into the base of midfield, allow Cole Palmer to progress into the right number 10, and Enzo Fernandez into the left number 10, instead of putting Cole Palmer in the left 10 with Malo Gusto in the right 10, which does not work. Enzo Fernandez in that left 10 is allowed to be his creative, dominating self, and that's exactly what we need from him. I know a lot of people have been campaigning for Romeo Lavia to be the one starting alongside Moises Caicedo. I know a lot of people have been campaigning for Romeo Lavia to be the one starting alongside Moises Caicedo. However, with Lavia in the team, we sacrifice so much of our attacking quality by leaving out Enzo Fernandez that I don't particularly think it's worth it. And Enzo's physical stats were massively improved when we took on Leicester. So I think it is more than worth seeing that the Enzo and Caicedo partnership worked so well versus Leicester to see it moving forward and making sure that I believe is our future partnership. That was always what it's planned to be. when we bought Caicedo, we always knew that Enzo and Caicedo were the ones that were going to bear the burden of being our midfield pivot. So I think that is where we are going forward. As for Cole Palmer, this is really a mission for Cole Palmer. He has obviously been in a bit of rough form quite recently. Obviously not been really getting anything in the past couple of games. I think he's gone, what, is this 3-4 games without a goal now, which is probably a record for him, to be perfectly honest. He really does need to get back to the form, and against Villa it would be really nice to do so, because obviously Villa is one of the 2 teams he has not scored against out of the Premier League teams he has played. The other obviously being Liverpool, which he has only played 3 times, I believe. Obviously twice in the Premier League, both times at Anfield, and obviously once in the Carabao Cup. Now Cole has obviously played Villa 4 times previously, twice in the league and twice in the FA Cup last season, so this will be his 5th attempt at getting a goal versus Aston Villa, and with any luck he goes and bags one. We could really do with Cole Palmer getting back to his best, because when he is at his best, he is absolutely unstoppable, and at the minute I think we really could do with that, as while we're playing quite well, I do fear a little bit if we do come up against a stronger opposition like an Aston Villa, that we really could need Palmer in certain games, and we would really need him to be his brilliant self. So that would be massively beneficial if Palmer can get back up to that level, and hopefully he does, and hopefully he goes and bags a goal today. And moving into the front line for this game, and I was a little bit hesitant about who I was going to pick for the front line, but I ended up going with Noni Madueke on the right, Pedro Neto back in the squad on the left, with Nicholas Jackson up front. Now the big argument for me was who starts between Jadon Sancho and Noni Madueke, because obviously Pedro Neto being back in the squad, I do believe he is going to start. And the thing that made up my mind was probably just the realization that a matter of 3 days after playing 90 minutes plus versus Heidenheim, and obviously after coming back from a long flight playing late in the day, it feels very unlikely that Jadon Sancho will start this game. So in his absence, I have gone with Noni Madueke. It does feel possible that we could see another start for João Felix in this team, which would be really nice to see. However, I've gone with Noni Madueke and Neto back in the side, because I believe Neto has been our best winger this season easily. He has been really, really good. And Maresca does seem to have a quite likable relationship with Noni, so I think he'll probably going to keep picking him until what I believe is going to be our future winger partnership in Neto and Sancho can come to fruition. Hopefully we do get to see the best of both of these players in this game. It would be really nice for Madueke to get back to his best, because I think since the Wolves game, as I've said previously, he hasn't been the same player. So it would be really nice to see him go out there, get a goal, maybe get an assist. It would be really appreciative for him to do that and prove a little bit of his doubters wrong, myself included, because I think Noni has slipped a little bit in his standards, because I don't think he's been getting the goals necessarily. I don't think he's been getting the assists, so it would be really nice for him to go out there and do it again. As for Nicholas Jackson, he has obviously been on an absolute tear recently. He has been scoring goals for fun. He's got 7 in, I believe, 12 this season, which is absolutely spectacular from Senegalese international. So I really hope he goes and bags another one. Maybe he could end up in a golden boot race at this point. We don't know. I think he is one of the best strikers in the league right now. He is 100% on top form with his goal scoring, and he has improved it so much. His hold-up play, as we know, has always been phenomenal, and his ability to bring other players into the game is unquestionable. Up against the centre-backs, which will likely be Diego Carlos and Pau Torres, that is going to be very, very important for us to see how he's going to manage those two, because they are very quality centre-backs. Pau Torres in particular, who I really do rate. I wanted him at Chelsea a couple of years ago, but obviously that didn't end up coming to fruition. We have Levi Colwill around now, so I'm not complaining. But he is a very good centre-back. Diego Carlos, likewise, a very good centre-back. And they do have a very quality midfield as well. Obviously, Yuri Tielemans and newly acquired Amadou Onana from Everton. So they will have to be worked through. Both Jackson and Palmer will be up against that. So it'll be very interesting to see how they manage that. But overall, I think this front line is more than good enough to go up against Villa. And I think we should be seeing a decent amount of goals in this game. Hopefully, we go and bag a fair few. That'll be really nice. So just to make sure that we can get to the prime position that we deserve to be into. Obviously, Arsenal are due to play West Ham tonight. Last time that happened, didn't end well for West Ham. 6 goals conceded, especially one from your former captain, is not a good look. So hopefully they don't do that again, but considering their defensive frailties this season, would not surprise me. I'll put Arsenal up front temporarily, but I think we can definitely get ourselves back up there, and with any luck, we will be sat in second by the end of this week. So those were my predictions for the game versus Aston Villa on Sunday. Thank you all very much for watching, and big announcement before you go. For the second time ever, I will be doing my live reactions to this game. So please, very much, I would like you to come and watch with me. That would be very much appreciated. I appreciate any support I can get on this channel. Maybe small, but I hope to get bigger. So with that being said, I really, really hope you all show up and we can have a good time watching the game together. But with that being said, my name is the Crimson Wolf. I'm the reddest Chelsea fan on the internet, and you have all been amazing. So I will see you in the next one. Good luck with it.